Hello again. This is video number 2. I should have told you I was making more than one. I didn't want you to feel like you've been just left with my ambiguous open-ended search tips. So I wanted to move on to your keywords. I'm going to break those up into 2 sections because one, we can really find a lot in the open web. So digital humanities, story mapping, scrollytelling, all of those things are producing typically things that want to be found on the open web. People aren't wanting it to be like an academic or scholarly audience, but they want the whole world to be an audience. So how do we track those things down? Let me show you an example. So if you go out to the open web and you just type in, how do you be able to see? If you just type in digital humanities, in Google you can always add keywords, but sometimes, so if I did digital humanities, Paiute, I might get some stuff. But I might get stuff that's not as relevant as what I was looking for. What you can do, and you could do Native American, so you can open up the description of a population that self-identifies. So Native American, or you could go ultra specific, like Southeastern Ute, Southeastern Colorado, or Northwest Arizona, Navajo, all of those different things. You could be ultra specific or ambiguous. But let me show you one thing that you can do. If you do a colon, what that's doing is it's saying, okay, I don't want digital humanities to be a keyword. I want it to be the context of everything that I look for. And this is an algorithm of Google that you could do with anything. So whatever word you put before the colon, it's not so much as a keyword set as it is, this is the context that I want. So you could do like a website, like usa.gov, and then everything that you search for, and then it'll search for usa.gov. But you can also do it with keywords. So digital humanities, and you can't have a space, Native American, then that contextual search sometimes helps. This is what I would encourage you to do, is whatever you're interested in doing, look up the base keyword first out on the open web. See, the base keyword being digital humanities, or story mapping, or scrollytelling. And then, whatever that context is, then afterwards you can put whatever specifics you're wanting. And people that self-identify as Native American might have also contextualized it as scrollytelling. I love scrollytelling. I never knew what it was until you told me just now. I've been using it for years. So scrollytelling, Native American. Oh, look at this. We have native advertising. That's advertising that shows up in the context of a website and has nothing to do with Native American. Do you remember what we do to get around that? Put quotes. Zero results. So scrollytelling, I think people know what it is, but they just don't necessarily call it that. Let's try storytelling. You can also do oral history. So it's kind of like making the web your own kind of a database. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this is some way where you can find samples and examples of what people are doing. The more that you view, the more that you'll understand the rules and the context and what people are doing, like the length of it, the complexity of it, and the uses. And the standouts will show up because Google ranks it by like what is getting the most views. All right, so using that same idea, we want to go into academic stuff and look for scrollytelling, story mapping, and digital humanities in general. These are the databases that I recommend over here on the side. So JSTOR is really great. Sociological Abstracts, one of my favorite. I'll show you Ethnographic, Academic Search Ultimate. Let's start with the Ethnographic. These two you can just go into and dig around, try the advanced search. But let me show you how to find an ethnographic database. Library catalog is going to be good too, but that one might be too expensive. So you can go, so I'm interested in ethnography. You could also do ethnic studies, I suppose. Oh, there is no ethnography. Let's do ethnic studies then. Maybe they're one in this. Maybe they're so similar that one is over the other. So there's one called Ethnic News Watch. All of these are put together to find things in ethnic studies. So America History and Life is like a history database, typically from a white settler perspective. But there's more and more own voices showing up in here. But let me show you Ethnic News Watch. Oh, I haven't authenticated. I haven't proved that I am who I am yet today. My dog is walking around, taking a drink. These are newspapers that are that own voices that I was talking about. But there's also a lot of things in here that are being analyzed by ethnic studies academics and things like that too. I would say go to advanced search. And let's see how it sorts out. I want to do scrolly telling, or, well, let's just do scrolly telling. And again, let's do it in the title, in the document title. And let's see who's talking about it. Nothing. Am I misspelling scrolly telling? Well, let me go back. Digital Humanities is going to be too big, and it's looking in the document title. My daughter, I told her I was making a video, and now she's sneaking and trying to be quiet. So ethnic studies might be a bit of a dud, or Ethnic News Watch. But another one was called Academic Search Ultimate. You're not fooling anybody, Ollie. Academic Search Ultimate. She's being very quiet, though. That's very nice. Librarians are always shushing people. So this database is kind of open-ended. This has a little bit of stuff that you'd find in the pop culture audiences, so written to the 6th grade or middle school reading level. And maybe this is why we couldn't find scrolly telling, is because it's such a new phenomenon that it isn't listed. But this one's multidisciplinary. Oh, there's only one. So what is our problem here? So this is what you would do, is you would discover that maybe, yeah, look at that, there's only 48,000 results. Usually there's a zillion of them. So this might be one of the problems that we've got, is that the keywords that we're looking at are brand new. So that's okay. We'll just have to rely on what you find on the web, and you might have to make logical conclusions of how it might fit into the context of the work that you're doing. So what I would encourage you to do is go into these databases and go into the open web and start to build your vocabulary of how these things work and how the rules of these things work. And then as you go into these databases, you'll start to see where people are using these for particular reasons. And you might not be able to narrow it down to Native American or Indigenous or Aboriginal groups, but that's okay. So sometimes in scholarship, you're looking at one thing, one construction. So story mapping maybe is like a tool or an intervention. And then you would have to make the logical leap to practically implement it in another place. That's okay. We don't always find things described across the board with all of our keywords in it. Okay, so another video will be coming soon, but hopefully this will help as you dig around and become familiar with these things.